Hello and welcome to the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League, live tonight on V-Speed from the Red Bull Ring. This is race number 2 of this 14-race fall season. Again, the dual 20-minute format at this 2.68-mile racetrack to follow up after a very exciting week number 1. And looking forward to some more great racing action in these GT3 machines as we are about to get things going. Here, drivers just wrapping up the qualifying session. It is looking very competitive so far in this one. This track, one of the faster road courses that we're going to be going to throughout the season, and hoping to get some really close racing action. My name is Adam Baker, and I'll be your commentator here this evening. And thank you so much again for tuning in to V-Speed. We'll pull up the qualifying times and the race analysis as we go trackside for tonight's race. So right now it is Harley Lewis, the fastest driver on track. We've got a few cars currently out there trying to top their lap times. Colin Kortnick, the 8th fastest position out of 9 total qualifiers so far. So small field tonight at the Red Bull Ring, 2.68 miles, 4.32 kilometers in distance. This is a 9-corner course and lots of straightaways and long stretches of this fast racetrack. Dual 20-minute format as always. The top 12 going to be inverted from qualifying to the race, so everybody's getting the invert once again tonight. From qualifying into the heat race, and then from the heat race to the feature event. Everyone's scoring points tonight as the top 15 would be scoring here. And again, this is the second race of this 14-race fall season. As looks like we're wrapping up the qualifying session, we're going to go to our qualifying results here tonight. The Red Bull Ring. It is Harley Lewis, the fastest qualifier. He'll go to the back of the field. Brian Kennedy, winner of week 1's race. He's going to go right back there with him, the 77 and the 8. Going to look to see if they can climb through the field. A good shot of keeping up with everyone with the draft on this racetrack. Bruce Wiley, 3rd fastest. Michael Pavolano, who had a great run going last week after running out of fuel late. He's going to roll off from the 4th fastest position. Clint Fletcher, 5th quickest. He nearly got the win in both the heat and the feature events last week. We'll see what he can do here tonight from Red Bull Ring. Aaron Dietrich going to be starting from the 6th position. Scott Kim, 7th fastest, and Colin Kortnick, 8th fastest. Mike Nickham, the 9th fastest qualifier here this evening. And again, the field going to be inverted, so it'll be Nickham and Kortnick beating us to the green flag. Make sure to cheer on your favorite drivers. Let us know you're out there and who you're rooting for. And who do you think is going to win tonight's race? We're excited to have you here. Then make sure to check out the sponsors for this series, Gunfire Games and Duncan Racing Designs. You can learn more about them in the video description and at the halfway break between our 2 20-minute sessions. Going to be a fun one here, one of my favorite F1 tracks. Looking forward to seeing what these guys do after a very exciting week number 1. As we got a couple cars kind of linking in and out of the grid. Here we go. I think we've got just one more we're waiting on. That would be Harley Lewis, our fastest qualifier. See if he takes to the starting grid. That would be very interesting to see him skip out on the heat event and not score any points there. We wait for the pace car get rolling. Let's take a look at the weather tonight from Red Bull Ring. 69-degree air temp, 90-degree track temp. So it's not too hot out here. Should be plenty of grip for these GT3 cars. We've got a variety of machines. We see McLarens, Ferraris. We got the BMW out here as well. And that is going to be it for our variety tonight. No Porsches, no Lamborghinis, no Mercedes going to be joining the field. We just have the McLaren 720S, the Ferrari 296, and the BMW M4 GT3. A lot of drivers picking the mid-engined machines. Pace car going to roll onto the pit lane here through turns 8 and 9. Field in the hands of Colin Kortnick as he gets going very early. Green flags out from Red Bull Ring. Side by side battling already here through turn number 1, the 57 of Mike Nickum and his matte black machine. Down to the inside, gets passed up. Michael Pavolano going to go straight through to third. And we get into the braking zone here through turn number 2. It looks like the top two have broken away by a good margin. They're separated by a few car lengths, and then it's another second and a half back to Michael Pavolano. The battle now on for fourth between Mike Nickum and Clint Fletcher, who's going to dive it down to the inside in the camo machine. Different look for Clint, who we are used to seeing in usually a bright pink or white car. He's going to get on through to fourth. Mike Nickum falls to the fifth spot. His matte black McLaren behind them. Brian Kennedy, last week's winner. He's already up 2 positions from starting in 8th. Scott Kim, Bruce Wiley, Harley Lewis going to make up the rest of the field. Everybody's still single file at this point. The top 2 coming into the last section of the track, turns 8 and 9, and we see Colin Kortnick pulling down pit lane. He may have jumped the start, but he's pulled it down into pit road. Not sure if that's serving a penalty or what the case is, but Aaron Dietrich will go to the top of the charts now, and he'll actually lead lap number 1. Now Michael Pavolano is going to go up to second. Look at the send into turn 1 by Clint Fletcher. As we have a car going off the track, that's Bruce Wiley. Gets it back collected, but must have been getting back on the power. Take a look at what happened through turn number 1. Bruce Wiley in the Canadian machine there. Went for a big slide off the racetrack. Harley Lewis in an identical paint scheme in his Ferrari. Just up in front. And I know a lot of these guys have been to the Watkins Glen racetrack in the BMW Car Club of America track days and events over the season. There is a race this weekend up there at Watkins Glen we'll be headed to with Team V-Speed. One of our founding members going to be making his ARCA Menards Stock Car Series debut at that road course. It'll be a lot of fun, so make sure to stay in tune with us on social media. Follow on with the activities at the racetrack and see how our driver Ryan Gemmel goes about his debut race. Right now, the battle on for second place. It's Michael Pavolano, Clint Fletcher putting that pressure on. And Aaron Dietrich, really good start to this one, 1.4 seconds out in front after inheriting the race lead. But Clint Fletcher looks really strong through that first turn. We are going to go on board with him down this sweeping straightaway. Not exactly a straightaway, there's a bit of a kink here in the middle, hitting speeds of 140 miles an hour before they get hard onto the brakes, down to about 35 miles per hour. This is Clint Fletcher looking forward to Michael Pavolano, Mike Nickum about 3/4 of a second or so behind. And that's what you'll get here at Red Bull Ring. Cars not separating by all that much. The top 8 all within 6 seconds. Each of them only separated by about 4 or 5 car lengths apiece, but really high speeds at this track. How about Aaron Dietrich, the lone BMW? Started in 4th, he's up to the race lead. Really great launch out of the gate. See the lead starting to slip away just a tiny bit here on the back end of this track. But looking pretty solid so far is Aaron in that number 7 car. Behind, that is the distance now back down to under 1.2 seconds, and those drivers in the McLaren behind going to be able to get a little bit of the draft on the straightaway. they'll be able to close up just a little bit, but the closer they get, the more difficult it is to pass and make time through the turns. As Mike Nickham going to lose another spot. Brian Kennedy continues his climb through the field, biggest mover so far, along with Michael Papalano. Both drivers up 4 positions. A great start for Aaron Dietrich, Michael Papalano, and Brian Kennedy. Oh, a really close call right there. Harley Lewis getting in really hot at the bottom of the hill on the backstretch. Almost catching Kim off guard there. He's got his bright green Ferrari machine. Nice solid job. Down 3 positions from where he started, but still hanging tough in front of Harley Lewis, who, you recall, was fastest in qualifying. Harley has not been able to make too much progress as of yet, just 2 positions gained here through 6 minutes and some change. It looks like Harley trying to find some way around, gets a nice run through turn number 1. And he's going to be right on the coattails of the 7-Eleven. See what he's able to do into this tight right-hander. Looks to be able to pull alongside driver's right, but he's got Kim back on the power. Going to be able to hold on to that position for the moment as they race down the backstretch. Next car up the road from there is going to be Mike Nickham. He's got a little bit of breathing room, but it looks like Harley Lewis going to try and peek driver's right. Got Kim, leaves the door open, and he's going to go a little bit wide through that corner, but again, able to hang on to the 6th position. Good battle here with these 3 nose to tail. Harley Lewis doing everything he can to find some running room. While Aaron Dietrich still maintaining 1.2, 1.3 seconds out in front. Michael Papalano, he's been able to hold on to that 2nd spot even with the heavy pressure from Clint Fletcher. And Brian Kennedy, we'll see if he's able to close in any more. Fastest car on the track, currently showing as Clint Fletcher by a couple tenths, but this time it was actually Brian Kennedy. He's the quickest with a 1:30.54. Very strong in this one so far is 77. Scott Kim gets passed up by Harley Lewis through turns 8 and 9. And here comes Bruce Wiley all over the back bumper. 3 Ferraris stacked on top of each other. Scott's going to go really wide on entry. I think that may be a way to defend, and he's going to do just that. Gets back on the power and gets a great run off the corner. All this going on, no other real battles to speak of. They're all separated by a few car lengths apiece, and no drivers making any major errors other than the slip up by Bruce Wiley on lap number 2. These guys trying to use every ounce of racetrack they can. See the full distance of the curbs and the runoff. The exit of some of these corners. This, of course, being an F1 style track, they've got very smooth runoff and curbs. And how about this, though? An issue for Dietrich. He has lost most of his lead. Not sure if it was a slip-up or a course-cutting penalty, potentially. But he has lost a second of that lead, and now Michael Papalano right there in reach. They race off turn number 1. It's nothing between these two, nose to tail. Papalano's gonna be able to use the draft. Can he slip on through in turn number 2? Gonna be alongside the quarter panel. That BMW is gonna dive it in deep, but that is a tight radius and hard to get back to the throttle. You're down on the inside groove. But now the top three nose to tail, and Brian Kennedy's closing in that much more. He's still the quickest of anybody on the track at this point. The top three battling as tightly as they are. You can see that BMW starting to slide just a little bit here at the halfway point. Pushing a little bit as now Quinn Fletcher looks to the outside for second. Can he complete the pass? Pablano down in the inside groove. It's two very aggressive drivers giving each other plenty of space. And Quinn Fletcher looks like he's going to be able to complete that pass. Really nice job through that part of the racetrack where it is pretty difficult to run side by side. It's opened up a little bit more space. Aaron Dietrich, and now Pablano goes wide through turn number 8, now in turn 9. Very easy to exceed the provided runoff room. And Quinn Fletcher's gotten away from Michael Pablano, who's now starting to feel the pressure from Brian Kennedy. That's going to be our next close battle. We'll see if Quinn Fletcher can do one better than the positions he finished in last week's events. But it slips up there through turn number 2. Did not get back to the power very well. That's a tough part of this racetrack. Going through the gears. We'll go on board here with Brian Kennedy, last week's winner, as he closes in Michael Pablano. Look at the center speed through that corner. Able to get back to the throttle very soon. Trying to peek out to the left side, get a little clean air to the nose of this car, as well as try and force an error from the 111. None of these drivers really making any major mistakes or having any major issues. 8 minutes left. It is still Aaron Dietrich out in front. That lead right back to where it was at 1.2 seconds, and he's been very consistent, and at this point has actually picked it up to be the fastest car on the racetrack, so perhaps saved a little fuel during that lap where he lost the lead, or lost most of his lead. Now Kim also putting down a really nice lap time. He's actually the second quickest car, so finding some pace as they start to close up on Mike Nickham. This group, 4 cars under a blanket with 7 minutes left. No positions really left uncontested at this point. Battle here for third. Pablano, who held second for much of this race, starting to fade just a little bit, and that's holding up Brian Kennedy. Mike Nickham about 3.5 seconds behind the 77. Everybody else stacked up right behind him. This is Harley Lewis, fastest car qualifying, but struggling to get through the pack, but now gets alongside Mike Nickham, who seems to be fading a little bit here in the latter stages of this one. Harley gets into the top 5 after starting shotgun on the field. Will try and pull away and chase down the top 4, who are ways out in front. Mike Nickham going to fall to the tail end of the field. Not sure what's going on for the Batmobile, but he's going to fall to 8th. Colin Kortnick is still out on the racetrack as well, but not anywhere near the rest of these drivers after pulling it down pit road. So he'll get the benefit of the invert if he ends up finishing in 9th. I'm thinking Mike Nickham might have not taken enough fuel or something along those lines, and he's just conserving at this point. Battle is on for third. Brian Kennedy looks to the right side as they make a little contact. That is going to push Kennedy wide, and Michael Pavolano nearly lost the handle. As we'll take a look at the replay, those two drivers getting together. We get another view of this. Went down into the corner, Pavolano really in deep, kind of lost the car for a second and reamed off the 77, and they both continue to race on. Pavolano back and forth. Brian Kennedy continues his climb. Biggest mover in this one. The top two well out in front of them. Going to take a lot of mistakes from those two drivers. Mike Nickham, Scott Kim racing up 7th and 8th. Bruce Wiley was able to get by the 7-11. That's a change of position that we did not see. These two going to battle here, kind of tail end of the lead group. Again, drivers using every inch of racetrack. You see the dirt being kicked up by Harley Lewis as he passed on by, and now that gap up to Michael Pavolano, only about 2 seconds. You'll see how strong he's been here in the second half of this race. Is the quickest car, now with a little bit of clean air. Keep an eye on the battle further back. Mike Nickham started to close in, was just about a car length behind. Became able to extend that margin back to about 3 car lengths. Down into turns 8 and 9, you can see very different approaches to that corner. Mike sent it really deep into the turn and lost a lot on the exit, though. He's actually lost now quite a bit, about 3/4 of a second to Scott Kim. Clint Fletcher starting to make progress on the race lead. They're coming back to 2 laps to go next time. And Aaron Dietrich has led most of this race, actually all of this race to this point. Clint Fletcher get there and seal the deal. He's been so close so many times in these races. He, of course, went on that winning streak at the end of the summer season. And finished second in both of the events last week, so trying to do a little bit better than that here. And that gap just about 4 or 5 car lengths. Aaron Dietrich just unfazed at the moment, able to respond just a little bit, gets that gap up to about 0.8 of a second. He's led every single lap. They're going to be coming to 2 to go. And it will be pretty close to the final few seconds when we come back around next time. 2 laps remaining for Aaron Dietrich. Clint Fletcher trying to make a run at it here. He's improved through turn number 1. This time, good drive off. Going to actually be able to close the gap about a car length before they get all the way down to turn number 2. And this is going to be the battle to watch. No other positions really contested quite as much as this one. And this, of course, for the win. Come to the close of the first 20-minute event. BMW versus the McLaren. Aaron Dietrich, very strong in this one. He did not start on the pole, and we've seen that here in this series. Sometimes the guy who goes out first is, he's the one that is able to just lead the entire race. This has not been the case. He started 4th. Able to get to 2nd, and then Colin Kortnick surrendered the lead after either serving a penalty or something of that nature. Not sure if he had some damage or had to top up on fuel. But we're coming back around to the white flag. The clock with just under 15 seconds left. The white flag going to go up on the screen. The top two just 2 car lengths apart. What can Clint Fletcher do? Did not get a great drive through turn number 1, but he'll get the benefit of the draft. What can he do down this long straightaway to close in and put some pressure on through turns 2, 3, 4, and the rest of this final lap? Can Aaron Dietrich hang on? It's a nice drive off of turn number 2. And the battle still to be close here. Not much of this lap left, and it looks like Clint Fletcher might just be a little bit too far back, and Aaron Dietrich a little bit too strong. 7 trying to hang on over the 6. That's actually a change for Clint Fletcher as well. He used to run the 69. He's running the 6 car this week. As Aaron Dietrich goes off into the sand a little bit, but I think also did the 6 machine. See if there's any kind of penalty to be served. We've seen drivers do that through this race, and Harley Lewis goes off on the final lap, but through the final corner it looks like possibly Aaron Dietrich having to serve the time penalty, but I think Clint Fletcher did as well as they come across the start finish line, and it is going to be that close, just 1 car length. Brian Kennedy, he'll finish the podium in this one. They all pile into the turn 1 wall. That is the ritual here. Harley Lewis, though, losing those positions late in the race. Unfortunate for him, as the results still coming in. Colin Kortnick, the only one left to finish. That's how they're going to wrap up the heat race tonight from Red Bull Ring. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Be right back with the feature event, so don't go anywhere. From the starting line to the finish line, and everything in between, Duncan Racing Designs is here to supply you with the livery you didn't know you needed. Let DRD help you look good so you can drive fast. Contact Duncan Racing Designs on Instagram, Trading Paints, or via email. This season of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League is brought to you by Gunfire Games, developers of the hit game Remnant 2, now available for PC, PS5, and Xbox. For more information on Remnant 2, visit www.remnantgame.com.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
No, it's burned!
Cabot, where did he come from?
Here
comes Slack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Back at the racetrack now for our second event of the season, the Red Bull Ring, the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League. Let's take a look at your starting lineup for tonight's race. Pulling off from the front of the field will be Colin Kortenick, who went to pit lane early in the last one. All right, Harley Lewis, fastest in qualifying, going to roll off from second. Look at him to maybe run away with this one. Scott Kim going to start from the 3rd position. Mike Nickum rolling off from the 4th spot. Starting at 5th, it'll be Bruce Wiley. Michael Pavolato going to start in the 6th position. Ryan Kennedy going to start from 7th in this one. Clint Fletcher, who finished runner-up, going to start in the 8th spot. And Aaron Dietrich, who held on and led all of the initial heat event tonight, he's going to start shotgun on the field. We are about to get things going from the Red Bull Ring. The field in the hands of Colin Kortenick, who's going to go early once again. And he's going to get a nice jump on things as the green flag is going to fly off and away from the Red Bull Ring feature event. And everything pretty much single filed out here as we take a look. Clint Fletcher under pressure from the 67. Bruce Wiley, but able to withstand that. Here comes Brian Kennedy along the outside of Wiley and try and take that spot away. Colin Kortenick trying to run and hide for a little while as Harley Lewis fastest in qualifying and very fast at the end of the last race, but a late mistake cost him track position. That's why he started second in this one. So we'll see if he's able to get up there and challenge for the top spot. Still so early on lap number 1. What do you think can happen? Of course, cheer on your favorite driver. Let us know you're out there. And who do you think is going to win this feature event from the Red Bull Ring? Really fun stuff all night long. Really good battling. And we saw a very close finish as both the top 2 drivers had what looked to be a time penalty coming through the final few corners. And right now, that lead margin just down to 1 car length. Can Colin Kortenick withstand this pressure? He's going to go a little bit longer than he did last race before he pulled it down pit road. But he's got the number 8 breathing down his neck here. They head back into turn number 1. Mike Nickum in 3rd, who we saw started to fade a bit through that race. He's got a big gap to Scott Kim, who's kind of holding back the rest of the field. At the Pavolato, the next one in line, he was running second for a lot of this race. Look at Harley Lewis diving down in here in turn 2. Maybe a little bit of contact. Yeah, they do make contact. They both continue on. Harley Lewis gets on through, though, as Kortenick tried to get back alongside, not quite able to. Further back, Clint Fletcher, Brian Kennedy doing battle. Kennedy goes down the driver's left through the left-handers. Not able to complete that pass. Will settle back in line. That's the tough part about Red Bull Ring. If you go for a pass, got to get back in line quickly, or you could lose those positions. You'll be in the lesser preferred groove. pretty heavy right now. Look at Ryan Kennedy trying to find his way around. Harley Lewis already pulling out about 2 car lengths. Colin Kortnick, no slouch. He was very quick at certain points during the heat race, and this first couple of laps still looks very strong, even though Harley Lewis fastest in qualifying, fastest in the late segments of the heat race. And it's still just about 1 car length as they exit turn 2, go down the back stretch. Nobody attempting any passes just at the moment. Kortnick putting that pressure on, trying to keep the 8 honest for this beginning part of the race, not trying to let him get away too quickly. Maybe learning a little bit running in the tire tracks. You can see through this section, really tough to keep your foot in it when you're following someone so closely. Very flat corners through that part, and that's where the F1 cars benefit from all of that downforce. These GT3s not quite as much grip as the F1 machines that make their way around this racetrack. But Fletcher still hanging on to 6th. Brian Kennedy behind him. These two were very good in the heat event, finishing both on the podium, and they got their work cut out for them here in the early part of this one, trying to make their way through. Board with Michael Pavolano as he takes a peek at 7-11 of Scott Kim. They actually give him the bumper to get down into the turn. A little bit of contact right there. Lead now up to 1 second. Harley Lewis starting to put the power down very nicely in that Ferrari 296 GT3 side by side. Brian Kennedy, Clint Fletcher. Already seen this once in this race. Looks like Brian's going to be able to complete the pass at this point, and Michael Pavolano still trying to find a way around Scott Kim. Harley Lewis looking very strong though. Not perfect so far tonight. Been very fast, but did make the mistake as Aaron Dietrich, possibly an issue for him. Winner of the heat race. Taking a look here, he was following Bruce Wiley and just lost the back end. And the car came around on him. Able to get it back rolling, but that is going to be very costly. He is about 20 seconds behind the race leader. Harley Lewis 1.5 seconds out in front. The battle really starts behind Scott Kim, as it's Pavolano, Kennedy, Fletcher, and Wiley all fighting for position. Mike Nickum also now under pressure from the 7-11. And it looks like Mike going to go to the outside of the backstretch. Can Scott Kim muster up the power in that Ferrari? Get alongside down into the turn, and he blinks out on turn entry. Not what you want to have happen. He gets back in line. Everybody nose to tail through this part of the racetrack. It is Harley Lewis, Colin Kortnick, the top two, and then everybody else fighting for their lives back here. Not the rest of the field. The only one not in this battle, Aaron Dietrich, who's again 20 seconds back, kind of in the same role as Colin Kortnick was. And Kennedy once again takes a peek to the outside of Michael Pavolano. Be able to get around him at the moment, but all kind of drafting off of each other here, and could help them to actually close the gap up to Colin Kortnick. in second. Harley Lewis content to run by himself with no pressure. Is another bit of contact between the 111 and the 711, and that's going to stack things up. Here comes Brian Kennedy. Now, can he complete the pass to get the 5th position? The answer is yes. He's gotten around, and he is already long gone from Michael Papalano. Goes a little bit wide, as did the 57 of Mike Nickham. Both those drivers off into the sand just a little bit. Closing in on the halfway point in this race already. That is how quickly we're knocking these laps out. Again, should be about 14 times around for these drivers. So a total of 28 laps of racing here this evening, which is cool to see. We don't always get that many. Sometimes we get more than that, but not always the case. That is a lot of opportunities for drivers to slip up, and we haven't seen many mistakes tonight. Probably 3 or 4 in total. Very clean racing. What is kind of a super speedway of road courses. These guys essentially doing some drafting. Not quite bump drafting like you might see in a NASCAR event. Here goes Clint Fletcher, going to look to the inside of Michael Papalano. This is a tough pass to complete. Going to be able to get alongside, but cannot get the power down just early enough. Slips back in line. Harley Lewis 3.3 seconds out in front of Colin Kortnick, and now Cal Kim going to look to driver's right on Mike Nickham, who goes really wide off the racetrack. That will be the position changing hands if Scott Kim is able to clear him, and he will. And that also brings Brian Kennedy into the battle for 4th. So the mistake by Mike Nickham costing him 2 positions on that end of the racetrack. Just as we were saying, drivers have been very clean tonight, not making many mistakes. See one right there from the 57, and now he's got a mirror full of Michael Papalano, who's made his own share of slip-ups, but he's going to try and get alongside back towards turn number 1. It'll be really close into the braking zone. Plenty of room being given, but Nickham goes off the track over the curbs, and here we go, maybe 3 wide. This is really dangerous. Clint Fletcher trying to get in there. Mike Nickham backs out of it. He'll fall to the tail of this group. And now the battle's on Clint Fletcher and Michael Papalano. The 6 being very opportunistic right there. And again, just not in a position to get the drive off of that turn. He'll slot right back in line. The 111 has not been able to make his way around. How about Scott Kim hanging on to the podium places right now, right where he started in 3rd. He'll have about 6 laps to complete. We'll see if Brian Kennedy is able to put that pressure on, but they're also closing in on Colin Kortnick. Scott's been really good in this race, no mistakes. See if he can cap off what's been a strong run with a podium finish. Brian Kennedy trying to force that mistake, but Scott doing what he needs to. Goes pretty wide through turns 8 and 9. We'll see if that's any kind of a runoff. He goes really wide off turn 9, and that may be a penalty. There goes Brian Kennedy right on through. So the mistake that Scott had not made yet, he just slipped up a tiny bit. That's how close the competition is here at the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League. 7.5 minutes left to go from the Red Bull Ring. There's your race leader. Actually, your race leader, Harley Lewis, is out of the picture. That was 2nd place Colin Kortnick. Now they stack up behind Michael Papalano, battling for that 5th on back. Really nice sights here from Austria. Keep an eye on these two, Clint Fletcher and Michael Pavolano. Bruce Wiley there behind. Mike Nickham still in the picture. Similar to last race, a lot of drivers contesting positions. A lot of this race has been very tight action. Not a lot of positions changing hands necessarily like we might see at other tracks. But the car is very tight together. Look at Clint Fletcher with the big head of steam here. As they race back towards turn number 1. Very similar situation to turn 2. It's tough to complete that pass. No positions changing hands through all of that. But how about third place? Ryan Kennedy closing in on Colin Kortnick. Already got a podium finish tonight. Colin just trying to hang on here. He started at the front of both races, obviously pitted on lap 1 in the heat event, and this time he's been on track running in second, but you can see the grip starting to get away from this 32. His lap time starting to fade. Brian Kennedy, the quickest car on the track. It's going to be too little too late for him, assuming Harley Lewis perfect from here on out. And that time, the 32 a little wide off the corner. This is going to be a lot of pressure for the last 4 laps of this race. And that is going to be for the podium spot. Scott Kim not too far back. And if any of these drivers get together, all these drivers all the way back to Bruce Wiley and Mike Nickham could have a shot at a really good finish. Side by side, Clint Fletcher. He's now got the preferred groove headed into turn number 2. Pavolano's not going to give it up that easily. Dives it in. And this time, he's going to get a good drive off. But Fletcher just able to clear. He went a little bit wide off that corner. But he's able to get it done finally. Throws the wiper blade on maybe to celebrate. But yeah, you can see the 111 right there on the back bumper. And might even make another move if he's close enough back around. Oh, I heard a big slide. Not sure who that was. I don't know. I heard tires slip. Not too sure about that. Maybe Scott Kim. Could have been somebody else out here as well. Ryan Kennedy still putting that pressure on. Just over 3 minutes left to go. It'll be 3 laps to go this time. We're coming back to 2 laps remaining in the feature race at Red Bull Ring. Presented by Gunfire Games and Duncan Racing Designs. Look at Brian Kennedy doing everything he can to try and distract the 32 and maybe force a mistake. Gets a really nice run through the center of turn 2. Just not able to do anything with it. It's going to stay right in the tire tracks of Colin Kortnick. All that going on. Scott Kim getting closer and closer. He could be in the running for a podium finish, maybe even as high as second. Oh, and look at the big slide from Kortnick there, the 32. Able to hang on to the position, but that's just more time being gained by all these other drivers. We could have 6 cars fighting for the podium. When we get back to the white flag, it's going to be very exciting stuff. Harley Lewis just stinking up the show out here. He has led 10 laps. Not every lap. He's been very good in this one. 6.2 seconds, very smooth. Cannot make the mistake that he made at the end of the heat race. You keep an eye on second, third, and fourth. Fifth, sixth, seventh, getting closer and closer. And I think the tire squeal that we heard was Mike Nickum, who seems to have had an issue at some point in the last couple of laps. He's falling closer and closer to Aaron Dietrich, who is still maintaining pretty good lap times back there. Here's the battle for second, rubbing doors down into turn 2. Brian Kennedy to the outside, the preferred groove. They both spin the tires on exit. It'll be a drag race down the backstretch. As there's Harley Lewis off in the distance. They're going to do a little bit of side drafting. Working the air alongside Brian Kennedy, goes to clear off, goes defensive down into the corner. And they're going to make contact. Kortnick and Kennedy. And here we go. Just as I stated, we're going to have 5 or 6 cars possibly fighting for podium spots. Scott Kim gets through to third, but it's still side by side between himself and Colin Kortnick. Brian Kennedy through to second. What is going to happen here is Scott Kim still alongside. He's able to complete the pass up into the podium. Goes to 7-11. What a nice job taking advantage of the situation. And now Colin Kortnick under the pressure from the 6 of Clint Fletcher. It is nearly 3 wide. And still side by side, Papalano and Clint Fletcher. They're going to make a little bit of contact. White flag in the air. It's all gotten very exciting here on the final 2 laps at Red Bull Ring. And it's still not settled. Harley Lewis out in front. Looks like it's his race to lose. Trying not to make any mistakes out there in the number 8 machine. He's done a fantastic job. And now the battle is on. Second and further back, Clint Fletcher and Michael Papalano, who have been just at each other's throats all race. And that's going to be a little bit of contact. It actually almost helped out Clint Fletcher, but Papalano got sideways on entry, and it's going to cost him 2 spots. Clint Fletcher finally completes the pass here, but it took a big mistake from the 111. Now, keeping an eye on the podium drivers. Harley Lewis, not too far for him to go in this one. Brian Kennedy hanging on to second. It's been a good night for him. A lot of positions gained and continuing to show that pace in the GT3s. Scott Kim looks like he's going to get out of here with a podium finish if he can just make it through the last 2 corners without issue. What a drive it would be for him to finish right where he started in third. Get to interview Scott for the first time in a while. What a nice job from the top 3. Harley Lewis going to win it. Brian Kennedy second. Scott Kim finishing in the 3rd spot. Colin Kortnick in 4th. Clint Fletcher 5th. Bruce Wiley and Michael Papalano. And then drivers piling in here. Turn number 1. Looks like everybody has come across the line. So Papalano maybe getting scored with a penalty. Not exactly sure what's going on there. Harley Lewis, your race winner here tonight. Great job by him. See if we can interview him and the rest of the top 3 in a few moments. Right back.
From the starting line to the finish line, and everything in between, Duncan Racing Designs is here to supply you with the livery you didn't know you needed. Let DRD help you look good so you can drive fast. Contact Duncan Racing Designs on Instagram, Trading Paints, or via email. This season of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League is brought to you by Gunfire Games, developers of the hit game Remnant 2, now available for PC, PS5, and Xbox. For more information on Remnant 2, visit www.remnantgame.com.
We are back at the racetrack now. Going to be pulling in our third place finisher here in just a moment. That is Scott Kim. What a drive from him. And be able to see him get into the booth with us here in just a second.
Double. Oh.
Hey, Scott. Sorry to interrupt you there. You got a copy.
Hey, copy. Yes. Hey, Adam.
Well, Scott, you get yourself a podium here at Red Bull Ring. Nice, strong race and able to take advantage of really tight situations there at the end of this one. Just describe this night at Red Bull Ring and getting out of here with a third place finish.
Yeah, it was awesome. I wasn't expecting it, but I did practice, and I was like, all right, let's go to work. And a couple guys made some mistakes up front, and I was able to take advantage of that. But otherwise, I had a good pace today, and pretty clean race overall. But yeah, guys were really close together the whole time, so it was really intense.
Yeah, it's almost like a super speedway of road
Yes.
courses here at Red Bull
Yep.
Ring. So, some of these turns being kind of tight and some of them being flat, if you're that close to drivers, did you learn something in the first race of kind of racing behind people and how to deal with that?
Honestly, I think it was a turn 3. It was a sharp right-hander going up the hill. A lot of guys are overslowing for that turn, and somehow I found a good line through there, and good gearing, good speed, whatever, and I was able to catch up to a lot of people and make up my time there. So I thought it was so I guess I learned something there, and but yeah, it was pretty good. It was, the track itself is very flowy. It's a lot. There's a lot of hard braking, but at the same time you're on the gas for a long time. So yeah, I mean felt good today. So can't complain.
Yeah, really strong race from you here at Red Bull Ring. We go to Fuji next week. How do you feel about going out to that one?
I think it's more of the same. Lots of long straights. It's a good fun track, so we're looking forward to it.
Awesome, Scott. Well, great job here tonight. Get on the podium here in race number 2. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
No, just our sponsors, Mekazenda and the Gunfire, and of course our friend Perry, DRD, and all of our sponsors and donations for making this possible. And thanks to you. And yeah.
Awesome, Scott. Well, great job out there tonight. Fun watching you battle it up and get yourself a podium finish. So congrats on that. And we'll catch you next week at Fuji.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Adam.
You. Third place finisher Scott Kim. We're going to go now to second. That will be Brian Kennedy, winner of last week's race. Hey, Brian, this is Adam, the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Adam, I got a copy.
Well, just one position back from where you finished last week's race, but you were definitely the biggest mover throughout the night. You got a lot of positions in both races. Just describe, coming through the fields at a really challenging place to pass like Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, you're right. It was everyone had a very close pace. It was really awesome to see everyone so close in pace, and I really just had to wait for people to make small mistakes. There's some turns with either it's really tight or there's camber that makes it difficult to get grip, and people kind of spin their wheels, and definitely capitalized on that at the top of the hill. I think turn 2 went around the outside of a few people, I think, because they would be held to the inside and spin their wheels. So that was kind of the move of the night, I think. But yeah, just so fun, with everyone so close in pace.
Yeah, definitely really exciting stuff. We saw close side-by-side battles. You and Clint Fletcher at moments in this one. Michael Pavolano in there. Lots of really good, fighting for position. We go to Fuji next week. Kind of a similar type of racetrack in some ways, but how do you feel about going out there?
Yeah, good call out. It is kind of similar. A lot of long sweeping turns you got to be patient on, and some tight ones too. And yeah, so I like it. It's not super familiar with it in these cars, but yeah, looking forward to it. It's got some nice scenery with Mount Fuji in the background.
Yeah, nice scenery here in Austria, and then we go to another beautiful track there at Fuji. But man, what a great start to the season! You get the win last week, second here tonight at Red Bull Ring. Anybody want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, well, congrats to Harley for winning the feature race. He definitely had the pace of the night, fastest I think in both races and qualifying. So, and then yeah, V-Speed, Duncan Racing Designs, and Gunfire Games. Too bad that Matt couldn't make it tonight. He's busy working at Gunfire Games on the next big game, so
yeah,
couldn't join us.
I know that's some pretty stressful stuff at times in that industry, but I'm sure he's working on some good stuff and excited to see what they come out with next. But great job here, Brian. Really strong performance and fun seeing you passing some people out there getting towards the front here tonight. So congrats on second, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks.
Thank you. Second place finisher, Brian Kennedy. We're going to go now to the race winner. Let's see if we can get him in here. That is going to be Harley Lewis. Hey, Harley, this is Adam, the V-Speed booth. You got a copy? Well, man, fast car here tonight at Red Bull Ring. You were able to get the lead pretty early in this one and drive away, but the heat race, race number 1 tonight was a big struggle. You had to work your way through the field and ended up making a small mistake there at the back. Just describe this night of racing and what you might have learned from race 1 to bring into race 2.
That was a pretty close night of racing. A lot of fun. Very hard to pass, and guys were doing a really good job at protecting their position. So got a little bit greedy there, trying to get by Mike on the inside, and I guess the tires didn't want to cooperate, and I spun it. Luckily, I didn't hit him, and just kind of took myself out. But then I guess I got lucky because then I started at the front of the grid, which made it easier to get to the front. So I didn't do that intentionally, but it kind of worked out.
Yeah, how much different is it with the clean air at a track like Red Bull Ring versus kind of being behind the other drivers? So we know it's very long straightaways. You get that draft, but that can really be a hindrance in some of these turns.
I don't really notice dirty air too much in the GT3 cars. I don't know, maybe I'm just a kind of a pleb. More so in the open wheel stuff, but the cars are so big. It's once you get right up on someone's bumper, it's really hard to see the apex. So it's easy to miss your braking point, and then you just punt the guy in front, and that's no good. So kind of a balance of putting the pressure, but leaving a little bit of enough room there to get the slingshot out of a corner. And it was a struggle in that heat race, let me tell you.
Yeah, we saw you gain a few spots. You got into the top 5 late in the going, and looked like you were going to be on your way to maybe even tracking down the top 4. But you had a very strong feature getting the lead. I think just 2 laps in, and you drove away 8.3 seconds, the final margin of victory. So really strong performance in the number 8. We go to Fuji next week. How do you feel about going out there?
What's a Fuji? I've never seen that track. Yeah, I guess I'll have to check it out. A lot of new tracks actually I see on the schedule this year, so it should be fun to play around and learn the new track. But I think most people knew Red Bull Ring already, so it made for some great racing out here tonight.
Yeah, almost like a super speedway of road course tracks, and it definitely always puts on a good show for us here at V-Speed. But you take the victory in the feature race, leading 13 laps. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for tonight's win?
Well, thanks for broadcasting, Scott, for putting on the league, and then everyone for showing up to have a little bit of fun on the weekends, or I guess the weekdays.
Almost the weekend. We're just
I'm on the
2 days
weekend now. I'm going to the track tomorrow, so we're good.
Yeah, me too. Yep,
Nice.
Yep. We'll be at Watkins Glen here, so should be a fun time
Amazing.
at the racetrack. But great job out there, Harley. Congrats on the win, and see if you can go back to back next week at Fuji.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is Harley Lewis, your race winner here at Red Bull Ring. Let's go now to our full results rundown, and we're going to head on out for the night. We want to thank you so much for tuning in on V-Speed. It's Harley Lewis taking the victory at Red Bull Ring. Brian Kennedy going to come home in the 2nd spot after challenging late there with Colin Kortnick, and Scott Kim able to come home in the 3rd spot. Colin Kortnick in 4th. Clint Fletcher, strong top 5 after just finally making his way around Michael Pavolano. They were fighting tooth and nail there for all of that race, right in the mid-pack. And ultimately a little bit of contact on the final lap. Bruce Wiley gets through to 6th. Mike Nickham finishes in 7th. Aaron Dietrich going to finish in the 8th spot. Michael Pavolano being scored in 9th. I'm not sure if he had a penalty at some point in this final lap to set him back, so we'll have to see how the scoring gets shaken out there. But what a fun night of racing from Red Bull Ring. You want to make sure you check out the sponsors in the video description, and those are going to be Gunfire Games and Duncan Racing Designs. They're the sponsors that make it happen here for the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League, and always great to see them out here and sponsoring the races. So we'll be back next week at Fuji. Make sure to tune into our other events throughout the weekend. We've got the Saturday Night Racing League on Saturday, and we've also got the Sunoco Cup Series on Sunday, as well as other events all throughout the next few days. We'll be back next Thursday night from Fuji. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great evening.